2021 has brought many changes to how Disney World does things, and today we are considering how these changes impact us and our plans.
Welcome to Always Planning Disney, where planning is half the fun. I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Melissa.
And on this channel, we talk through all of the details that go into making our vacations magical.
I don't even know if I can keep track of all of the changes that have been announced and taken back or put back in place or changed or altered in some way. There has been a lot this year.
Yes, it's a lot to keep track of.
Mm-hmm. And when we started talking about planning our next trips, I think at least I went into it knowing, okay, there's going to be a lot of stuff happening this year, but it's like going to change by the time we reach the date I settled on, which is roughly early 2023.
Yeah, we're planning trips around the same time. I'm currently waffling on our date between early December 2022 and January 2023. That's going to be a whole different episode because I just need your help with that, Melissa. So I need to talk through some things to figure out what my dates are going to be. But we were really looking forward to like a longer trip, a splurge trip after these like really rough couple of years. And this recent news out of Disney has me feeling bummed. And like, am I even looking forward to a trip anymore? That's right.
Yep. And we had talked about that when the announcements all came out. I know looking at our next trip, the loss of Magical Express was a really big one for us because we travel with a car seat and we want to go somewhere where we don't have to worry about transportation too much. And so having that direct delivery to our hotel where they take care of the luggage and we just have to sit on this bus and it's free was such a big selling point for us. And the slow phase out of Magic Bands also stung. So I had a lot of like sadness and rage back and forth with those announcements, because a big part of the Disney magic is all of those special extras that they roll into the trip. It's not just a theme park. And that was the joy of Disney, is that they did so many things differently, and it's expensive. You know it's expensive, but when you have those things built into your vacation, it softens it a little bit, I think. And so when you take away my free transportation from the airport, yeah, I get pretty mad about it. And I'm sure there'll be a replacement, and I'm sure that replacement's going to cost money. And I really don't want to pay extra. It's not like the Disney trip has gotten cheaper, right? So yeah.
No, it certainly hasn't. And losing the Magical Express was a big deal for us too. So we've obviously been going to Disney World since long before the Magical Express existed. So we have found our way from the Orlando airport to Walt Disney World on our own in the past. But my husband's first trip was when we were both in college, and it was actually a surprise to me. So my family was taking a trip to Disney. My mom and my now husband had secretly planned to have him arrive at Disney World and surprise me. I was really mad that he wasn't coming on the trip, and then he showed up. So he was in a different town from the rest of us. So he took a different flight. It got in later, and he had to make his own way to our resort and had a total disaster of a time trying to get to our darn hotel, and wound up there at like 2 or 3 in the morning after he had been traveling all day. It was awful. And so even just having Magical Express as like, you know, you're going to get to Disney because they're taking care of it, and it's built in with the Disney experience. So like, they're going to get you to your resort and it's going to be all right. I mean, he was worried about being stranded at the airport. So that's not something I want to happen to our family again. And it's really a disappointment that even though there will be a bus available, it's not the same.
And there's been a few other smaller, it's not the same changes prior to these. I know when we went in 2015. The parks were open very late into the evening, especially on the weekends. I think Magic Kingdom was open till 2 a.m. on Saturday. And we thought it was amazing because we have no problem staying up late. We have problems getting to the parks early, but no problem staying there late. And we could hang out all day back and forth to hotel, park hop if we wanted to. And I think it also helped to spread the crowds out a little bit more. And when we returned in 2018, there were ticketed nighttime events. So the park closed earlier. And if you wanted to have that nighttime experience, it was a whole other ticket. I mean, more than full price for an additional 4 hours. And so I feel like that both makes it crowded. And also, I was feeling a little salty then that we couldn't stay until midnight like we used to. So you take those little things away from us that decrease the magical guest experience, and then you're going to take my transportation. I was not happy about that.
So we are not late night people. We are early morning people. I especially am an early morning person. And so the way that they have changed extra magic hours are gonna make me, I guess, rethink what our trip would look like, because they've just got a little bit of time in the morning for on-site guests, right? Whereas before you would have like a full hour in advance of everybody else. And if we rent DVC points next trip and stay at a deluxe resort, then we'll have a couple hours on select evenings. And those seem a lot like those after hours events in terms of you're going to have a lot fewer people in the parks. It seems like you could get a lot done in that amount of time. But I don't know how late we're even going to be able to stay up with a 5-year-old. And I mean, I go to bed super early too. So I just don't know if that's even going to help us, if I'm going to have to, I don't know, build a nap in that day so that I have a chance at staying awake late enough. So even that, where there are some opportunities to stay in the park later, but there are less opportunities to get in the park earlier, I don't know. I'm not loving that either.
Yeah, the extra half hour in the morning probably wouldn't serve us very well, except for Epcot. If it continues to open at 11, we could make 10:30, no problem. But it really probably anything earlier than that would be a struggle for us. The extra hour in the evening is attractive, but I want how it used to be back. I'm going to be one of those people who can remember what it was like before and cling to it.
Yeah. Okay, so this Genie plus Lightning Lane thing, first of all, this is like fairly new material in the last few weeks. So I'll link down below some resources for folks that want to get a good rundown of what we know so far. We're going to get more information about it in the coming weeks and months, I imagine, because it's supposed to roll out this fall. But basically, like, free fast passes are gone. And now if we want any chance of experiencing shorter wait times, we're going to have to pay for them one way or another. I don't even know where to start with how much I dislike this.
Yeah, I don't like it at all. And again, it goes back to what the Disney experience is, and that it's not just an amusement park, where I think that the Lightning Line cost that they have is comparable to what other parks offer. But the thing is, Disney doesn't do it that way, right? And now they are. And having gone to Universal on our last Disney trip as well, there's no way you can get through everything at Universal unless you have that upgraded ticket to skip the lines. And the way that they do it, even though it's an extra cost, is still even better than Genie Plus, because you can just walk up to whatever you want, whenever you want. The concept of having to sort of order what you're going to do sounds like torture to me. I don't want to wake up at 7 a.m. to reserve my first ride. I will do it for fast passes because I can do it once and for my entire trip. Same thing with the dining reservations. But if I have to do it every single day when I'm at Disney, first of all, I'm not doing it because I am not waking up at 7, and I'm not going to say I'm likely not spending the money for this, because I'm sure I will end up eating those words when I do buy it. But I'm not happy about it. I don't want to wake up. I don't want to reserve ride after ride after ride. And even Genie, not Plus, where it helps lay out, the step-by-step plans for you throughout the day, is way too restrictive for me too, and incredibly stressful. I like going to Disney and just doing whatever speaks to us at the moment, as long as we make our dinner reservation.
Yes, they seem to be responding to some sort of customer demand, is at least how the company is framing this. And I don't understand who these customers are who would prefer to wake up early every single day of their vacation and then be glued to their phone for their entire vacation instead of planning in advance and waking up early one time when they're at home and probably like waking up for work anyway. Like, who are these people? It's just crazy to me. And I'll say, like, I'm gonna miss that rush of getting my fast passes. Like, I love fast pass morning. We got donuts last time and like made a morning out of it. And I just felt awesome the whole rest of the day because I had gotten my fast passes that I wanted and all of that. And like, so like that little point of happy from the Disney planning process is gone, and it's being replaced by like really being on our phones the entire Disney trip when I don't want to be on my phone. I'm already on my phone more than I would like to be on a Disney trip, just in order to look at wait times and in order to mobile order food or see where I could get a walk-up reservation. Like, all of these things already require us to be on our phones a lot. And I would like to just be with my family at Disney World and not be on my phone all the time. And it seems like even if I'm not buying into the paid elements of this new program, I'm still going to have to be on my phone more than I would like to be.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to have to be on my phone the entire time. I use it far too often for the same reasons you do. We use it as a map. We use it to check wait times, to get those mobile orders. That's enough. And it's been too much. I wonder if Disney has misunderstood how much enjoyment people get about planning their trips and assume that they want that when they're there, because I know I don't. I want to think about it for, well over a year in advance, as we're doing now. And I like watching people eat at the restaurants and talk about the food and watching the ride videos and, organizing my park days. But once I'm there, I want to just be there.
Absolutely.
And now apparently it's going to cost extra money just to be there too.
Yeah, to have an inferior experience.
Yeah.
All right, so are we still planning Disney? Are you still going?
Yeah, I know I'm still going to go. I raged quite a bit when the news was announced. As you know, I talked to you about it, and I wasn't even sure if I wanted to keep looking forward to this trip. We are potentially going to the Florida Keys next spring, and I usually avoid Florida trips because if I'm going to be that close to Disney, I'd rather just go to Disney. And this has pushed me to the point where I can go to Florida, skip Disney, and be okay with it. I'm also far enough away from the dates when we're looking at going that I'm hoping some things might change, something might return. One side effect is it's made Disneyland more and more attractive. For whatever reason, this summer, I've been a little hooked on Disneyland, because it's smaller and I think a little bit easier to plan and get there and be there. Also, Universal Hollywood looks pretty amazing. There's some things there I'd like to see. In my dream, I would just get an Airbnb for a month and live in that area, just sort of hang out and play.
Do it.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm too invested to pull my trip, even though I do want to like rage quit on Disney for this. And I was feeling just like really sad when I heard this news. I was feeling really sad, but I mean, we're still gonna go. I'm just gonna hope for the best. I don't think I can say that I'm not gonna pay for this stuff. I think I have a reasonable chance of very angrily paying for it. I'm gonna keep an eye on the vloggers, because I'm sure the vloggers are gonna run some time comparisons that will help us make a good decision for our family. Because I guess I'm just not sure what this is going to wind up looking like. Like, is it going to be like Universal where you basically have to have the upgrade in order to get through anything? Or is it going to look more like things look right now, where if you go during a low crowd time of year, you're able to get through a lot because the lines are just shorter all around? It seems like FastPass was really lengthening those standby lines. And so without FastPass in the pandemic, except for the really crowded times this summer, it seems like wait times have generally been much lower than they were before for that standby line. So I'm going to trust, I'm sure All Ears is going to run some time comparisons, and I love their perfect day at Disney videos to give me a sense of like, how can I do all the things? So I trust them to help me figure out what's going to be right for our particular group.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to having all the data too. I think that the concept of Genie, not Plus, just the regular add-on there, is that Disney's going to try to direct crowds a little bit to flatten things out. And even though we likely won't do such an intense, detailed daily itinerary like that, if enough people do it, I think that might actually help crowds a little bit. I know deep down that the best option is just to not partake in any of the Disney add-ons or charges, because if people don't buy it, then they have to reinvent. If we just say we don't like it and end up angrily buying it, which we're going to do, of course, Disney doesn't really care how we feel. They have the money, we supported it. That's tough for me.
Yeah.
But I'm going to see how the numbers play out, like you say, before we decide what's best for us. One thing it really has changed in terms of my trip planning is I am now considering the Swan and Dolphin, which back in the day I never would have, because they did not participate with Magical Express and you didn't get free magic bands. Well, nobody gets either of those things anymore. So they're kind of on my list to check out. Also, they're really close to Boardwalk, which was a front runner for me. I know that I could take a boat or walk to Epcot and Hollywood Studios, which was also high on my list. So they are contenders at this point.
I agree. I would also consider the Swan and Dolphin. I need to look into that some more, because what we were seeing before wasn't super appealing. But then I hear so many people say that the Swan and Dolphin are great options for their families. So I think I am going to have to take another look at it. I'll also be interested to see if any sort of perks aside from this 7 a.m. thing wind up dropping for hotel guests, because I just have trouble believing that that's the only perk that they're going to give for staying on property. They keep taking things away, and there are so many hotels in Orlando that people can stay in that it seems like they're going to have to drop something. But I don't know. I guess we'll just have to keep an ear out and see if they wind up doing that for all hotel guests, for deluxe hotel guests, what they wind up doing. I'm also starting to wonder if we should rent a car. I had said in a previous video that I was planning to allot some budget next trip to rideshare programs, because I was real angry waiting at the bus stop after fireworks last time with a small child. And you never have any idea how long you're going to be waiting for that bus. And sometimes we were waiting for a long time. And that frustrates me. If they would give the times in the app, which they never will, so I could decide what to do, then I would be more into it. So I was planning on having some budget for rideshare just to get us home after park close. But now I'm wondering, if there's not any Magical Express, if we're going to have to pay to get from the airport to the parks anyway, maybe we should consider renting a car. Maybe we should run the costs on that. I personally hate driving, so that's something to discuss with my husband, because he would be the one carting us around property.
I'm the driver in our family. I drive everywhere, always, and I enjoy a vacation where I don't have to drive. And so I really rely on Disney transportation, and I hope that they do plenty of things to keep that appealing. I also do not like waiting for the bus at the end of the evening, and I just try to block it from my mind, because I would rather have the bus take me back to my hotel than me have to drive all of us back when I'm tired and just don't feel like it. I think you might be right that Disney will bring something back for on-site guests, because they're just going to have to. There are so many places to stay in Orlando. And as soon as any of them just make their park transportation a little bit better, they would be an easy competitor. I think one of the things that kept us away from Good Neighbor hotels, in addition to no longer being in the bubble, which is very important for me, is that the park transportation isn't as regular as it is. I like knowing that if I walk up to a bus stop, of course, not necessarily at open or close where there could be a long line, but you know one's going to show up in 10 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, I completely agree. If they could up their shuttle game, then they would be huge contenders for me as well. So if anyone out there has gone to a Good Neighbor hotel with really good park transportation, let us know in the comments, because that's something that's hard to find out just from online reviews, but I'd be really interested in people's personal experiences.
Yeah. I still like the bubble enough to probably spend to stay in there.
I don't know. We'll see. Luckily, we still have a while before our trips. If we wind up going in December and renting DVC points, then we would need to make a call by this coming January. So that's still several months that we have to see how this whole Genie Plus thing goes, see if they wind up throwing a bone for on-site guests, and then we can make a call.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Let us know in the comments if the 2021 Disney World changes impacted your trip planning. And remember to like and subscribe to plan along with us.